Manakin Sabot can look peaceful online, but before you fall for the listing, you need to understand what you are actually choosing, because this is not Short Pump. It's not Glen Allen. It's not a traditional Richmond suburb with everything clustered around you in the exact same way. Manakin Sabot gives you more space, a quieter feel, access to Short Pump, and a version of Goochland County living that can feel like a complete reset. For the right buyer, that is exactly the point. For the wrong buyer, the same things that look beautiful online can become frustrating once real life starts. Drive time matters, taxes matter, internet access matters, lot maintenance matters. The distance between you and your normal errands matters more than people expect. And the overall pace out here can feel wonderful if it fits you, or too removed if it does not. I've been coming out this way my whole life, and there's a specific kind of evening in Manakin Sabot that I have never been able to fully explain to someone who has not seen it. The sun drops west of the river, the sky opens up, and everything gets quiet in a way that does not feel empty. It feels like relief. That feeling is part of why people who find this area tend to stay. So in this video, I want to walk you through what Manakin Sabot actually is, what buyers are noticing here right now, what is being built, what you need to verify before you buy, and whether it belongs on your Richmond relocation shortlist. I'll tell you up front, this is not the right answer for everyone, but for the right person, Manakin Sabot may be the place they did not know they were looking for. Hey y'all, I'm Holly Fye, and I help people relocate to the Richmond, Virginia area with a clearer understanding of how the city, the counties, the suburbs, and the surrounding communities actually feel once you live here. I was born and raised in Richmond, and Manakin Sabot is one of those areas where local context really matters. Most people do not start here when they first search the Richmond Metro. They find the obvious names first. Short Pump usually comes up. Glen Allen gets searched. Midlothian shows up again and again. Then someone starts looking west of Richmond, and Manakin Sabot catches their attention for a very different reason. This area does not feel like the usual suburb search. The roads open up. Homes often have more breathing room. The landscape starts to look less like shopping centers and more like the Virginia that people picture when they say they want space. At the same time, you're not moving to the middle of nowhere. That is the part buyers often misunderstand. Manakin Sabot can feel quiet and tucked away, but you're still close enough to Short Pump that everyday convenience is not as far away as many people assume. That balance is why this area deserves a closer look. Let's start with what Manakin Sabot actually is. First, a quick geography note, because this trips people up. Manakin Sabot is in Goochland County, west of Richmond, not Henrico, not Chesterfield, Goochland. That distinction matters because the county affects taxes, schools, services, property details, and the way the area functions day to day. I'll come back to that because it is important. What draws people here is the feel. Once you cross into this part of Goochland, the pace changes. The roads feel more open. There's more space between properties. You start to understand why someone might want to be near Richmond without feeling like they are living inside the busiest part of the metro. And then there are the sunsets. I'll say this is my personal opinion. Manakin Sabot has some of the best sunsets in the entire Richmond Metro. Something about the open sky, the tree lines, and the land out here makes the evening feel different. If you catch it at the right time, it stops you for a second. Sunset Grill, right here behind me, is one of the local places people know for that kind of view. Depending on the night, you may find live music, a relaxed atmosphere, and that reminder of why people choose this side of town. If you're visiting Manakin Sabot, I would try to time at least one evening out here, not because one restaurant tells you everything. It does not. But a place like this helps you feel what the area is trying to be. Manakin Sabot gives you a version of Richmond area living that feels different from the suburbs without making you feel completely disconnected from the metro. You're still close, you just don't feel surrounded by the same level of retail, traffic, and density. For some buyers, that is the entire appeal. Before we get into new construction, commute, and taxes, I want to talk about a few local spots. Restaurants and gathering places can tell you a lot about whether an area fits your life. Listing photos show the house. Local routines show the community. Sports Page, right here behind me, is one of those places people know, especially during football season. It is locally owned, casual, and familiar in the way a good local spot should be. People go for the wings, the atmosphere, and the kind of neighborhood energy that is hard to create from scratch. Satterwhite's, just down the road, has that classic hole-in-the-wall breakfast feel. The Western omelet, corned beef hash, and biscuits are the kind of things locals talk about because the place has become part of their routine. It's not a chain trying to look local, it's just local. Then you have Lola's Farmhouse for a more special occasion feel. That kind of restaurant matters because it gives people one more reason to stay connected to the area rather than always driving somewhere else. These places are not the whole reason to move to Manakin Sabot. They are clues, a community with regular local spots, repeat customers, and places people actually use has more identity than a map can show you. That can be easily appealing if you are relocating from somewhere that feels crowded, anonymous, or overly built up. There are two lifestyle pieces that stand out in Manakin Sabot: golf and equestrian culture. You do not have to care about either one to live here. Still, they help explain why the area feels the way it does. On the golf side, Manakin Sabot has an unusually strong concentration of courses and clubs for one community. Kenlock Golf Club is the crown jewel and has earned national attention over the years. Hermitage Country Club has been part of the area for generations, with two 18-hole courses and a broader club experience. Richmond Country Club, the Kiwanis Club, the Sycamore Creek, all add to that golf presence in different ways. The point is not that every buyer here has to be a golfer. The point is that this area has built part of its identity around outdoor space, private clubs, and a certain kind of lifestyle rhythm. That is very different from a denser suburb where the main activity centers around shopping corridors. Then there's the equestrian side, which catches some buyers completely off guard. Manakin Sabot has deep horse country roots, and that influence is still visible today. The Manakin Sabot Equestrian Center is on Manakin Road and offers boarding, riding rings, grooming stalls, lessons, and equestrian programming. It is also connected with the Manakin Equine Retirement Association, which supports retirement and retraining for older horses. Deep Run Hunt Club has been operating in this area since the late 1800s with a long history of fox hunting, horse shows, and pony club activities. In some parts of Manakin Sabot, you will even see signs of that equestrian tradition built into the landscape, including bridle paths in certain communities and fencing set back along sections of Manakin Road. That does not exist everywhere in the Richmond Metro. It exists here because this area has historically made room for that way of life. For a buyer with horses or someone who wants that lifestyle nearby, Manakin Sabot changes the conversation. For everyone else, it still helps explain the setting. This is not only a quiet place west of Richmond, it's a community with a specific identity. Manakin Sabot is also seeing real new construction activity, and it's worth understanding what is being built before you start scrolling through listings. One community to know is Reader's Branch, where we are now, by Eagle Construction. This is an active adult, low-maintenance community set on nearly 35 acres of protected countryside along Reader's Branch Creek. The community includes single-family homes and townhomes with amenities such as a clubhouse, pickleball courts, walking trails, wildflower meadows, pocket parks, and a pavilion with a fireplace. Pricing has been advertised with townhomes starting around the high 500,000s and single-family homes starting around the low 600,000s. But you should always verify current pricing and availability because new construction numbers can change quickly. Eagle Construction is a well-known Central Virginia builder, and they have also built communities like West Broad Village and Greengate near Short Pump. Another community is Songbird by Main Street Homes, located along Hockett Road, about 5 miles from Short Pump Town Center. This one includes 65 single-family home sites, many in the range of 0.4 to 0.7 acres, with one home site spanning over an acre. Homes have been advertised starting in the high 700,000s with open green spaces, ponds, and walking trails. Main Street Homes is a locally owned Virginia builder with a long history in this market, so buyers who want new construction west of Richmond may want to understand how this community compares with other options in Goochland and western Henrico. Then there's the Blufftons by Eagle Construction. This one is very specific. If you have ever been to the Palmetto Bluff near Hilton Head, South Carolina, you may recognize the inspiration immediately. The homes feature details like wraparound porches, light-colored facades, standing seam metal roofs, wood-burning fireplaces, high ceilings, and open floor plans. They were designed by Allison Ramsey Architects, the same South Carolina firm connected with many of the homes at Palmetto Bluff. The Blufftons includes 29 homes on half-acre lots in the West Creek landscape. Just off of Patterson Avenue, homes have been advertised around 2,800 to 4,400 square feet with pricing in the 1.6 million to 1.8 million range. Again, verify current availability and pricing before making the decision because this can shift. This is not a broad market community. It speaks to a very specific buyer who wants a low country inspired look, a luxury finish level, and access to this west of Richmond setting. These communities show why Manakin Sabot is getting more attention. Buyers are not only looking at older properties or acreage, some are finding newer options, low maintenance options, luxury options, and communities that give them a different feel from the more obvious Richmond suburbs. Before you fall in love with a specific home in this corridor, I want you to understand the tax picture. Some properties in the Manakin Sabot and West Creek area sit within the Tuckahoe Creek Service District in Goochland County. Properties in that area may pay an additional ad valorem tax on top of Goochland's standard real estate tax rate. The figure I've seen referenced is an additional 32 cents per 100 of assessed value, in addition to Goochland's standard real estate tax rate of 53 cents per 100. That additional tax is tied to water and sewer infrastructure and is scheduled to run until 2042. Please verify the current tax rates timelines and whether a specific property falls within the district before you rely on those numbers, because this is exactly the kind of detail that needs to be checked during the purchase process. This is not automatically a deal breaker. It is a real number that belongs in the budget conversation. I always want buyers to understand the full annual cost before they compare homes. A property that looks like a better value on paper can look different once taxes, district charges, utilities, HOA fees, maintenance, and commute are all part of the same conversation. That is especially true in an area like Manakin Sabot, where two homes may offer completely different setups. One may be in a newer community with certain services and fees. Another may be on more land with different maintenance responsibilities. A third may sit in a location where the tax district question matters. The address matters. The property details matter. Do not assume every Manakin Sabot listing functions the same way. If you're relocating to the Richmond Metro area and Manakin Sabot is on your list, or you want help comparing it to other parts of the Metro, I put together a free Richmond relocation guide to help you start sorting through the areas. You can get that through the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code here. The guide will be sent directly to your inbox. You can also grab a time on my calendar for a real conversation about your specific move. It's not a sales pitch. It's a chance to talk through your timeline, your budget, and the kind of lifestyle you're trying to find here. Okay, back to Manakin Sabot. Let me be straight with you about the practical side, because this is where expectations and reality can separate. Manakin Sabot is close to Short Pump, genuinely close. Depending on where you are in the community, you may be around 10 minutes from the heart of Short Pump. That surprises people who assume west of Richmond means far from everything. It does not always mean that. You can be near Wegmans, Trader Joe's, Costco, restaurants, shopping, and services without living in the middle of the Short Pump activity. That is a real advantage. What changes is the feel of the drive. The roads are less commercial in many spots. The pace can feel calmer. You may leave the busier retail area and come home to something that feels completely different. For a lot of buyers, that is not a trade-off. That is the reason they look here. The drive becomes more important if you're commuting into the Richmond proper on a regular basis. From Manakin Sabot, you may be looking at roughly 25 to 35 minutes, depending on your specific address, destination, and time of day and traffic. By Richmond standards, that may not sound bad. Still, you should test it at the actual time you would be on the road. A peaceful Sunday afternoon tells you very little about a Tuesday morning routine. If your work or regular appointments are in Innsbrook or West Creek, the conversation changes again. Depending on the exact starting point and destination, those areas may be closer, often somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes or less. Again, test the route. Do not buy based on a best case map estimate. I always tell buyers to drive the way they would actually drive. Use the roads you would use. Go at the time you would normally go. Notice whether the distance feels easy or annoying. That's how you learn whether Manakin Sabot fits your real life. There are a few practical things I would want you to verify before you start falling for listings out here. First, internet access. If you work remotely, this cannot be an afterthought. Options and speeds can vary more in an area like this than in a dense suburb. Confirm the specific service options at any address you're seriously considering before you get emotionally attached to the house. Second, property maintenance. More space and more land are not only visual features, they can become part of your regular life. Landscaping, outdoor upkeep, driveway care, tree coverage, drainage, and contractor access may matter more here than they would in a smaller managed community. A buyer coming from a condo, townhome, or lower maintenance setup should think honestly about how much outdoor responsibility they want. Some people are ready for it and love it. Others discover that they wanted the look of privacy more than the workload. Know which one you are before you buy. Third, the Tuckahoe Creek Service District. I mentioned this in the new construction section, but it can also apply to existing homes in the district. Always verify whether a specific property falls within TCSD. It's not hidden information, but many buyers do not know to ask about it until they are already deep into the process. Fourth, school assignment. Manakin Sabot is in Goochland County, so if schools are part of your search criteria, verify the specific assignment for the exact address using the official Goochland County resources. Do not rely on listing descriptions or what someone online told you. Boundaries and assignments need to be checked directly. Those details are not as exciting as sunsets or beautiful homes. They still matter. They are the difference between liking an area and making a smart purchase. Let me be direct here. My goal is not to talk you into Manakin Sabot. The goal is to help you figure out quickly whether it's your answer or whether another part of the metro serves you better. This area tends to work well for buyers who want more breathing room while staying close enough to Short Pump that everyday life still feels convenient. That sweet spot, more privacy without feeling far away, is what Manakin Sabot does especially well. I had a client not long ago who came in tired of the upkeep on her place in the Outer Banks. She wanted something new and low maintenance, and she wanted to be close to Short Pump. Restaurants and everyday conveniences. Glen Allen was at the top of her list. Before we went any further, I asked her to humor me and drive one more area. She drove Manakin Sabot. She ended up buying new construction there, about 10 minutes from Short Pump. The pace felt quieter. The home gave her more breathing room. Access to the things she needed was still easy. She told me it was exactly what she did not know she was looking for. This is the pattern I see with this area. It also works well for buyers who specifically want new construction in Goochland County. Reader's Branch and Songbird offer that right now at different price points and with different feels. The Blufftons offer something much more specific and luxury oriented. Where Manakin Sabot may not fit is just as important. If you want to be in the heart of activity, close to the energy of Short Pump Town Center, able to walk to dinner, or surrounded by denser neighborhood feels, this probably is not that. That is not a criticism. It is simply a different kind of place solving a different kind of problem. The honest version is this: Manakin Sabot can be a great fit if you want space, quiet, and short pump access. If you want to live inside the activity instead of near it, you may be happier somewhere else. Here is what I would tell you if you ask me whether Manakin Sabot belongs on your list. Drive it before you decide. Don't judge it only from listing photos. Don't rely on a general description of Goochland County. Go out there on a weekday. Drive the routes you would actually use. Stop at Sports Page or Satterwhite's and get a feel for the community. If you can, time one visit around sunsets. Pull over somewhere with a clear view west, or stop at Sunset Grill and watch it properly. If something clicks, pay attention to that. The space may feel right. The proximity to Short Pump may feel like enough. That's when Manakin Sabot starts to make sense. On the other hand, you may drive it and realize you'd rather be closer to more activity, more density, or more places within walking distance. That's useful information too. The Richmond Metro gives you options. The goal is to choose the one that fits your actual life, not the one that looked best from 10 minutes of online searching. If Manakin Sabot is on your list and you want to talk through whether it's a good fit for your move, you can get my free relocation guide through the link in the description, or scan the QR code on the screen here. For more personal conversation and information, grab a time on my calendar here. I help people navigate the Richmond Metro every week. Let's make sure you understand the area before you choose the house. Thanks for watching. I'll put the next video up on the screen now.